So for my project, I decided to build a Microtonalis calculator, essentially in order to perform quarter tone compressions and any number of expansion that you would like. I would eventually like to create a version of this that allows for other than quarter tone, third tone, and beyond. But for now, kept it to the quarter tone thing. So this is the user interface as you see right now. Click here for the instructions. And I have a system of like a bunch of steps here, and also just some notes down at the bottom here. So step one is to click the button labeled the import MIDI file, and you load a MIDI file that you. I mean, you have to notate what you would like to import into the program. You have to notate it out in Finale or MuseScore or some other notation software like that, and then save it as a MIDI file in order to use it within this program. So I have a few ready to go here. We'll start out with just a arpeggio. All right, so I've loaded it up. There is a bug in this patch I have not been able to figure out yet. When you open it up and you load up your first, anytime you open it and load your first MIDI file, or anytime you hit this total reset button here, you have to click the reset trigger button right there. I'll figure that out eventually. It's just right now there's a lot going on inside this patch, which I will show you soon. So essentially from here, we have the written pitch down here and the transform pitch. So when I press this trigger calculation by step button, which will go step by step through the MIDI file, it won't spout it out all at once. So you can, click the button, notate what you need, click it again, notate it, and go like that. It'll show the microtonal or transform pitch down here. This note in section is just your MIDI file. It reads through the MIDI file, and in order for these buttons to work, I will actually have to press the spacebar. And you can see there that is reading in the MIDI file, and there's no audio. Could be useful, but that's okay. What's that?
So I have the audio jack in my computer. You can unplug it and plug it into yours.
I believe the audio jack on my computer's broken, so that won't matter anyway.
Okay.
So for now, we can just use it as visual. That's fine. All right. So it's loaded in the MIDI file. Click the trigger calculation by step button. Ignore the first one. These numbers are simply the initial values. All right. This is just a calculation of the initial from 0 to 60, which is this C right here that everything is now currently set at. And right now you can see we're doing a 0.5 contraction and expansion, or contraction. Click it one more time. The original note was an E, and the transform note is a D. Click it one more time. You can see down here the original interval was a 3, transform 1.5. That will be a D sharp, D 3/4 sharp. One more time, B gets you an F quarter sharp. Sends the SPC right here, sends that to this RPC. The send sends to the receive pitch class. This is where you perform the expansion or the contraction. So you can change this, and it will go through, and it will eventually, coming through all of this logic, come out into a collection, a call. You can see right here is the compressed intervals. This goes down into, follow this line all the way down, through this gate, and essentially out here. The MIDI note transformed. This is it adds. This is where the patch got very complicated. So I needed to find a way to take the transformed interval class and add it to the current interval, the current MIDI note, or the current MIDI note, and that was complicated because these two things happen at the exact same time. So that's why you see these gate objects, and these gate objects are simply allowing messages through in the right order. If it's not in the right order, everything is off by 1 or more, depending on where that is. And so you see right here, I'm sending the call object go to 0 and go to 0 for both of these calls, and then this is go to 2. So it needs to be, I know this is probably a little bit complicated here, they need to be sent in the right order, and that was what got complicated. So that's essentially what all of this is doing right here. It's sending the information through in the right way, and so I got it, I figured it out, but the problem was it was eternally going upward. I need to find a way to tell when the pitch was going down. So I created this object over here. Essentially, what this little bit, this expression says, if the interval that comes in is less than 0, then send it out 1, right here, else out 2. So if it's going down, the MIDI information comes out this outlet, which goes through a minus. If it is less, it comes out this outlet, which, here we go here, goes through a plus, and you can't see it because the two chords are together here. But it goes through, here we go, here's the minus and the plus right here. Eventually they make their way down to these guys, and that routes it to the correct way so that we do actually get stepwise up and down motion. And all of this is nothing important really. So you see this is a P, a sub patch called Oh Lord. Because this took me, alright. The only way I could figure out in order to create these little, these guys, the notation, the accidentals, microtonal accidentals. If it were not microtonal, that's no problem, but Max does not support microtonal notation. So I had to go and find and do some screenshots and import them in.